All right, the question in this video is, I believe the price of Netflix has fallen to a good value, and with earnings coming up on Tuesday, if I want to buy more Netflix stock, should I buy it now before earnings or should I wait until afterwards? Unfortunately, I don't have enough time to do a deep dive into Netflix stock today, but I do want to answer this question. I started buying Netflix stock back in August of 2020 at a price of $502 per share. I started buying it because I really believed it would benefit from the pandemic, but I only bought in small amounts because I felt like it was at a fair value, not at a discount. After the company announced earnings for Q4 in January, it dropped from $518 to under $400 in one day, over 20%. Did Netflix miss earnings? Nope. In fact, if you look at analysts' expectations, they actually beat earnings by 62%, and yet the stock price tanked. So why did it drop? Well, a lot of stocks have gone through a really tough time over the last 6 months, and really investors are looking for just any reason for concern, and they're selling at the drop of a hat. So for Netflix, that concern came in the form of future subscriber growth expectations. So while Netflix is still growing its subscriber base, the rate of growth is slowing down. So apparently, suddenly because it had less subscribers being expected, it was suddenly worth 20% less. That's crazy. After that drop, you may have heard that Bill Ackman started buying up shares, and I did as well. I started buying some shares here and there just to lower my cost basis on a company that I believe is going to do just fine. At this point, I'd like to add 10 more shares of Netflix stock in this price range. At this point, Netflix makes up a little over 6% in my portfolio, and I've decided I'd like to add 10 more shares if I can down in this price range. My average cost right now is $455 a share, so I'd like to add 10 more shares between $340 a share and $450 a share. On Tuesday afternoon, Netflix will announce earnings, and that has the potential to move the stock very quickly in one direction or the other. If you're new to individual stock investing, you may not realize these are key times where you have to make a decision on what you'd like to do with the stock. If you're investing in an index fund, you don't have to worry about these kind of questions. You just allocate your money to your index or your fund whenever you have the opportunity, and you don't really pay attention to individual events like this. In this case, could I see the price dropping more? Yes, unfortunately, I could. It's gone pretty low. Netflix was trading at these prices years ago, but could I see it moving upward? I'm not sure that I really see it skyrocketing, but I could see that depending on the numbers, but also even more importantly, depending on how management presents itself on the call, I could see it changing the trend and this being the last low point before it starts moving upward. But then you also have to temper that and think about the other events that are going on around the world that are affecting the overall stock market. So you still have inflation, you have interest rate hikes that are planned and announced in the future. You have Russia versus Ukraine, you have the chaos going on in China, and so many other factors that are outside the company that could still affect the stock price. But I do see a possibility that management wishes to present themselves with more confidence and brighter expectations. Maybe they announce some things like opening up to new markets or opening up other revenue sources, and it may change the tone of the conversation to where people feel more optimistic about the future for Netflix. So what should you do? What should I do? The whole point of this video is to talk about the mindset that you should have as an individual stock investor. I ask myself, am I happy to buy at this price? Yes. Could it go lower? Yeah. Could this be my last chance to buy down here at the bottom? Yes. So what do? In some cases, I have a stronger expectation one way or another what's going to happen during earnings calls. But in this case, I don't have any kind of real insight into the information. If I had to guess, I would say there's about a 20% chance that the stock price moves lower considerably, like significantly. I would say there's probably about the same, maybe a 20% chance that this is the last bottom and it's going to start a significant uptrend from here. And then I would leave 60% chance that it trades about in this range, $350 to $450 over the near term for the next few months, maybe until the next earnings call. So what I've decided to do in this case is to buy half now and half later. So normally I would try and buy 2 days before earnings or even earlier. But in this case, because I forgot that Friday was Good Friday and a holiday for the stock market, I missed my chance. So I will be buying 5 shares Monday morning, first chance I get. And the reason for that is because often the day before earnings and the day of earnings, a stock will move very unpredictably as people are trading options and doing different kinds of last minute adjustments. So I really would have preferred to buy this beforehand, but that will allow me to get at least half of the shares that I want at relatively close to the price that it's trading at now. And then I can assess after earnings and I will still have the money that I was planning to spend on the other 5 shares, and I can adjust depending on how the earnings go and how the price reacts to the earnings call. More than anything from this video, the takeaway is that you should look at earnings calls as a time where you can look for the opportunity to take advantage of situations where people are mispricing the stock. If people overreact, whether it's to the upside or the downside, you should consider what the opportunity is. If the price drops drastically in a way that really doesn't make any sense, maybe you should consider buying. If the price goes shooting up and it just seems like hype and not real sustainable difference to the stock and the company, then maybe you should consider that it may be a time to sell. If you appreciate this video, give me a thumbs up. I hope you have a happy Easter, and I'll see you next time.